Welcome, everybody, to the big call tonight. It is Tuesday, November the 9th, and you're tuned in and listening to the big call. We appreciate everybody coming in, and from all over the globe, wherever you're listening from, thanks for tuning in. And before we get too much further along, let's go ahead and pray the call in, and then I'm very excited about listening to Sue to see what she's going to bring us tonight in the way of a teaching. So let's pray the call in now. Lord God, we just thank you so much. We have many, many things to be grateful for at this time, which is prior to Thanksgiving, but we need to be in that attitude of gratitude and be thankful for many things, not the least of which is the blessing that is on target and coming our way. Thank you for that. Thank you for everything that you provide for us, for keeping us healthy, healed, and whole. Give us a good call tonight, we pray, in Jesus' name. Amen and amen. Well, Sue, tell us exactly what it is that we can be excited about in the way of your teaching tonight.
Well, I was excited the way you said that we're on target. I'm sure people are cheering with that. And hopefully, Bruce, they'll love this teaching. It's a very meaningful teaching to, I think, a lot of us, but here we are. Interior examination as a way of life to root us in the way of Jesus. Interior examination is a way of life that considers the realities of our inner world for the sake of our own flourishing and the call to love well. Yet much of modern life resists this kind of living. As theologian Ronald Rolheiser warned, the air we breathe today is generally not conducive to interiority and depth. I love that. We live on the tip of the iceberg, and for various reasons. Many of our days are strategically and subconsciously constructed to avoid looking beneath the surface. We often belong to church communities that reinforce a lack of introspection. We use God to run from God, and we use God to run from ourselves. It's so easy to do this. Beyond our personal lives and church communities, our entire world is oriented against interior examination. There's often a paralyzing fear and a compartmentalized approach to life that reinforces our lack of inner investigation. But after a while, it catches up. I've never been one to work with my hands fixing things. I spent most of my childhood playing sports and most of my adulthood reading, writing, and speaking. So when I purchased my first car, I rarely looked under the hood. I infrequently went to the mechanic to get oil changes. I never rotated my tires or checked my car fluids. I turned the car on, drove, parked, and repeated the process. But over time, a dangerous kind of wear and tear was lurking. On one occasion, as a college student, I was driving around the campus and heard a strange thumping sound. As the weekend progressed, the sound got louder and more frequent. I put down the windows and blasted the music, and I decided to do what any person who has no time or skill to address these issues does. I just kept going. The next day, as I drove to my grandmother's home in Brooklyn with some friends in the car, my tire exploded on the highway. Thankfully, no one was driving near us on the highway. Sooner or later, the stuff we ignore will explode when we least expect it. Looking under the hood of our souls, or at the lower deck of our lives, or beneath the surface of the iceberg, requires something of us. The book of Psalms as a model of interior examination. The book of Psalms is filled with words of worship to God, but it's also filled with the language of interior searching and examination. If you spend any amount of time reading Psalms, you'll find out quickly that these songs are not nursery rhymes. They're raw, they're authentic, and they're honest songs that capture the emotional spectrum of the psalmist's life. You'll see words of grief or anger, rage, fear, anxiety, joy, hope, and worship. In Psalm 139, for instance, we see the heart of a person who is a model of deeply formed interior examination, David. The passage begins with him declaring, "O Lord, you searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar. You search out my path and my lying down, and are acquainted with all my ways." The psalmist is overwhelmed not with grief, but with gratitude and satisfaction because God knows him and claims him. The entire psalm is about David recognizing God's knowledge of him. In verses 7 through 8, David continued, "Where shall I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there." Then David wrote, "You formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well." Verses 13, 14. In concluding with this way of being deeply rooted in Jesus, let us consider how moving into and connecting with the interior parts of our hearts and our spirits that long to be with God requires the courage to step away from the shallow and go into the deep. And we're concluding this teaching tonight as leaders that will be deeply formed in the way of Christ and models to the new earth. And that's our teaching for tonight.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you for finding that and bringing that out to us tonight. I thought it was really a meaningful teaching with a lot of moving parts. And I like the fact that you brought the Psalm, was it 129?
Yeah.
Parts of 129. And David, as the psalmist, I understand, wrote about half of the Psalms. And the Psalms are songs, just like your teaching said. And
139. My apologies. 130.
139. That's right. And that's one that we've heard. We're familiar with the language in it. It's really meaningful. The concept that God knew us before we were even formed. He knew us. He knew us before, while we were in our mother's womb. It's amazing that He knew the inside of us and still does, and yet we don't necessarily know our own insides as well as we should. And I think what's cool about that teaching is I love the example of the writer's experience with a new car and driving around, and then all of a sudden hearing that noise. Well, that's where auto maintenance is so important, to take care of these things before problems become big problems. And like you lose a tire, lose a wheel, lose a bearing, whatever it is, and lose an engine, throw a rod, lose an engine, hello. But, I'm speaking to myself on that one. Happened to me once. So what's interesting is if we do pay attention to our inside, to our feelings, to what we have going on inside, it will help us, I think, to keep ourselves from going into a wrong direction, from going into an area that we need to stay away from. And that's a maintenance issue on our part. And I really think the teaching was valuable, Sue, in terms of self-examination, looking into our hearts. You know, I don't like to think of the heart as being desperately wicked and who could know it. I think our hearts are better than that. And I think but we need to continue to maintain our own heartfelt and love that we have for for ourselves and for other people. And maybe not be as busy, because I know that's something you've talked about in the past, Sue, not be as busy as we might be, which is sort of an indictment on the local church. People get busy doing things, but they really don't spend time searching their inner self and knowing God on their inside. But there is a balance, there is a blend between being and doing. And I think we've had on this call a great opportunity, Sue, with your teachings to examine that and to center ourselves in that balance that we're supposed to have. And that's what I got out of the teaching so far. But I can't wait to hear what Bob would say to that teaching. Bob, how did that teaching affect you, and what are you thinking?
Well, thanks, Bruce. And Sue, thank you very much. This was really great with the examination of the internal. You know, and some people will say, well, it's the thoughts in your head are one thing, but your actions are more important. What you do is more important than what you think or what you say. But those actions start with a thought. And, you know, if you can listen to your own, the voice that's going on in your head and listen to what you think in reaction to outside stimulus, you can screen for things that are not, you know, life-giving to you and to others. And if you examine that voice in your head, you might find that sometimes, you know, you make a comparative observation with others. Oh, did you see what that person did? Oh, look at that person. And in comparison to me, I would never do a thing like that. Well, maybe, but look back, maybe you did, you know, when you were young and foolish, right? And you might also find that sometimes there's self-criticism going on inside your head about matters that aren't necessarily all that important, or you find yourself with negative patterns of thought, negative affirmations like, I can't do that, I hate that, that's always like that, right? And so we can then catch ourselves making a comparative observation and stop, arrest it, and say stop, and instead do the opposite, right? Clarity through contrast. I'm going to send love to that person instead of criticism. And I'm going to catch myself in this self-criticism and reframe and maybe use a phrase like, up until now. Up until now, I would do that, which might not be so great, but I'm drawing a line in the sand. I'm reframing in the future. This is what I'm going to say about myself. And if you find these negative affirmations of I can't and I hate that and it's always like that, you know, catch yourself and, again, reframe it and examine it. Is that really true? Is it true that that's always like that? or is that a generalization that I need to examine? And then as you catch yourself making these reframes, that's when you want to celebrate and praise yourself. Great, I just caught myself doing this with my internal examination. I caught myself thinking this, which I don't want to do, but it's just happening. It's like this habit of the mind, and you can reframe that into praise and celebration and focusing on the good things you're going to do for others, and these habits of the mind can then become habits of the heart, right? Mm-hmm. And you can literally put your hands over your heart and celebrate, praise yourself for catching yourself making these improvements, and drop your head down where your mind meets your heart and make this new habit of the heart also become part of your head. Your heart and your head are connected hormonally, neuronally, and you can use the power of the goodness in your heart, the sacred heart, and with your breath, you can use that to send signals and modify what's going on in your brain. And this is an elevated technique of internal examination.
Bob, I really like that. I like what you were saying, especially about self-talk and about, what we think and how we say it to ourselves and what we say, obviously, to other people. And if we catch ourselves, rewarding ourselves, for that, if we catch ourselves starting to say it one way, and all of a sudden we go, wait a minute, nope, that's not right, let me try it a different way, or not say it at all. And just, I like that, Bob. I think that's really valuable for us to be aware of that and continually examining ourselves to essentially show ourselves approved of God. And that's one way we do it, by checking our tongue and not engaging it necessarily, upon a reactionary tone. So I thought that was very valuable. Sue, what did you think of the teaching and any of the comments that you heard from us?
Well, I thought both of you did a remarkable and insightful job. I love what you said, Bruce, about, just being directed to go to your center and to, make that commitment to increase your self-awareness. And then, Bob, what you brought in terms of the psychophysiological integrated, there's a reason we're called integrated minds, but integrating our awareness into how we're thinking about ourselves, our awareness, how we're regulating our emotions, and becoming aware that we can reframe that, and that the three of us, and this is why I brought this here to the call today, the three of us and all of us are really engaged in a very epic transformation to let go of the superficial, the fleeting, and to bring the kingdom of God deeply formed with skillfulness. This is about skills. What Bob was showing you were skills. What I wrote a book on are skills of having the ability to have compassion for ourselves, to know ourselves and to know our reactions to things. I'm going to be talking about that in my segment with an interesting twist. And to know, like when Bob said, when something isn't life-giving. Your body will tell you. And what's so important for our community is to have the fact that we're having this beautiful, rich conversation. I hope it's igniting powerfully in people to say, yeah, I really want to be around people that are more self-aware, have more empathy, have skills of emotional intelligence. And one of the questions I'm going to find out when I'm getting to know people is I'm going to find out, what is their relationship to themselves? Do they have an interior relationship with themselves? You know, how close are you to yourself? Because that's going to shape if you're reactive, like Bruce said, or if you're deeper and more wisdom and response-based, and you're doing it so that you can flourish and love well. It's a deep thing. It's a very deep thing. And I hope that this teaching for tonight will just cause us to look at how much depth we've gained through this process. Oh my gosh. The wisdom, the understanding of ourselves. I don't know about you, but oh my God, when I look at where I was when I started this and where I am now, it's a completely different person. And if you've walked with us, hopefully you've gained the insight and the depth and can use that going forward to select the right people, surround yourself with depth, and create amazing transformation. And that's why I picked the teaching, Bruce. I thought it was very powerful.
I think so, too. Thank you, Sue, for doing that. Appreciate that. And I think every time we get in a discussion, the three of us, about it, we're only envisioning everybody listening live on the call and those that are listening on the replay, what they are getting from it and how they're experiencing what it is we're saying and how it affects and how they're affected by it. It's really cool. Thank you, Sue. I appreciate you finding this and bringing it out tonight and allowing us to have this type of a discussion, because I think it is meaningful, and I appreciate it very much. And, Sue, it is that magical time again, that magical time of examining, do we have a praise report or two, maybe, that you can bring us tonight on Tuesday night?
Well, you know what's interesting? And first of all, I've got to write to our friend and tell him about this. But first of all, we've got to thank our diligent, how do I want to express it? Our diligent praise writer. And we invite everybody else to write praise. And it could be just about the wonder and meaning of this journey. I mean, I'm calling you to do that. It's the wonder and meaning of this journey to share that so other people can see it. But to realize that Pastor Scott and what I'm about to read, you know, he literally pulls down, Bruce, just wonder in the experience. He sees the big picture, and that's really the point of praise, is to be able to say, oh my God, no matter what I'm going through, it's a miracle. Look at, get out of that stagnant place and realize no matter what it is, I'm facing it. It's a miracle. I'm staring it down in the face, and here's our praise report. Tonight's praise is specifically to the Big Call universe. Praise is for you all, for the days, weeks, months, years, and decades you stayed true to this leadership team's words, thoughts, visions, and direction. Many may have fallen away, lost faith in this process, this movement, and chose to leave. Many have stayed. Many of you are soloists. Yeah, I know that. No one to share the excitement of this journey, which is the greatest moment in the history of history. I love that. Except Jesus. It's you I sing praises to heaven for, but now no longer soloist. We have each other. Never forget how we got here. We were chosen. Be blessed, Pastor Scott. I just think that's one of his most magnificent, praising you, Pastor Scott. Just so beautiful. It captures the fabric of this community. So thank you for that.
It does, because we're just about to wrap up our first decade of the Big Call. And I don't want to go into year 11, guys. I'm not intending to go into year 11. I want this to come to us now. But Pastor Scott, you're right on the money. Whether you've been listening for days, weeks, months, or years, or finishing up the decade with us, we appreciate that, and that's well said. And I know Sue, until we talked a lot, was feeling sort of siloed. And I know many of you guys don't even have your own spouse on board with you.
Right.
One of the two. You're not totally equally yoked in this as a blessing, as an investment for a blessing.
Yeah.
And I feel for you. I never had that situation. And I have a lot of people that I talk to you people twice a week, but I have a few close friends that I can talk to, now, every day. So, but a lot of people don't have that, Sue, and Pastor Scott is wise to point that out, because we have, a lot of people just have to keep this all to themselves, and maybe the only real intel they get is when they come in and listen twice a week to the Big Call. I know there's a lot of stuff out there, on the blogs and everything, but the problem is a lot of that is just stuff.
Yeah.
And what you have to do, obviously, is use your gift of discernment to tell whether or not what you're reading has value or not, and is real. And it's a tough slog. I know it's not easy. Anyway, I didn't want to, but that's how I feel. I feel like that's a really good praise report, Pastor Scott. And thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for doing it and for being there and just brightening up the Big Call every Tuesday night. Thank you. And Sue, I think that as we segue in, we have a wonderful opportunity to stay tuned and see what it is you have researched, what you're working on, what you have found that you can bring to us in your segment tonight, and I'm excited to get you underway.
Oh, thank you, Bruce. Well, we're going to start with the concept and how it relates to us of seek ye first the kingdom of God, number one. And we're going to talk about a little bit of everything we brought, which is how to maximize your attention in this investment, how to literally make better decisions as you're walking this out. And we're going to talk about how you're thinking about thinking, my favorite topic, metacognition, and something called effective forecasting, how you're going to feel about the things that you're experiencing going forward, how to design that, how to create that so it really works for you. So I have a testimonial that I'll read eventually, but I just want to talk about a couple of people, and I get such depth, Bruce. That's why I was kind of like, where do I start when I got on the call? Because I get to really, it's like I'm walking out across the country, India, Australia, everywhere, experiencing every kind of person. It's the most incredible tour of the mind, body, heart, and spirit of the people that are involved in this. And it's such an honor. It's astounding to see. One guy that I got to speak with, I hope he's listening, it was like a kid in a candy store. I wish that, well, both of you could have been on all. It was quantum technologies and new physics, and he's been listening to the call for 200. He said, "Oh my God, it's so great to talk to you. I've been listening for 200 hours. I listen to your segment all the time." And it's like, wow, that's so great. And he just said how great. He's on Boomers. And I met another woman who was putting her horses, in for the night before going to pick up a colt. And it was just incredible, these people and where they are in number one, and we're going to cover designing your world-class presentation, and number two, designing your best future. And I'm going to really focus on that, Bruce, tonight, because it's really, really important. But let me read you a testimony from one of our youngest. I'm not going to give his exact age, but he's very young. Amazing guy. I'm going to call him E. And he has gone through the world-class presentation, done that, developed that, worked on his projects, got it all done. He's very young. And he signed up for the Designing Your Best Future. Just so cool, so ambitious, so amazing. And this is what he said. "You inspired me to do new things." This experience has brought me to look at things from a different angle and to envision an even brighter future. Your team has given me the tools to make a greater positive impact on the world. And this whole experience has been life-changing. I really appreciate the help of Sue and the entire team to give me the keys to unlock a new chapter in my life. I was praying for God to reveal my purpose, and now I believe my purpose is to be a humanitarian. And that's, Bruce, that's everything, is like literally helping people walk out of the dreary, same old life, help them craft their humanitarian projects and expand them, and then with designing the best future, help them to prepare their leadership spirit, mind, and heart to make the best decisions. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about, number one, if you haven't done your world-class presentation. And most people, Bruce, think of themselves as, I'm just an everyday person. How do I relate? I'm just an everyday person. But everyday people, when they do the world class, are creating. If I know Kendall hears it all the time, it's like they cry. Their mission becomes extraordinary. It's like, I've been waiting all my life to do this. They've been waiting all their life. So the one tip I can give you, if you haven't done your presentation, is the importance of sending us an email. And the reason is this. You want to have the language. You want to have the language that was given to us way back when, that when you walk in, and I know Bruce and I are very sensitive to this kind of thing. Watch this. When you walk into the Redemption Center and they see this language that we have at the top of our world-class presentation, and it describes and positions the key concepts that they care most about, and then you make it nice and simple for them to digest that presentation, Have you ever had the experience, and Bruce and I are always going through this when we're listening to stuff, where somebody's talking in a foreign language and their rhythm and their tone, and there's just all these words and vibrations that it's like your brain can't focus on it, right, Bruce? You know what I mean? It's
I do, sure.
It's it's distracting.
Mm-hmm.
When you do the world class, you're going to walk in, and it's like you're speaking their code. That's one of the key. Do you understand when you have to listen to somebody and they're overly, their language is off, or they have a different accent? Your brain is going, oh, wait a minute. It's trying to fit into a different pattern. So one of the strengths, if you haven't done your projects and you don't know how to make it simple, please send an email, because you could be the everyday person creating the extraordinary mission. You're not going to have to do this on your own. This is not you running the projects. Most people don't know that. And we're on a mission. Me and my mighty team, Kendall, are on a mission with Bruce's blessing to get as many it's one of the legacies of the Big Call, to get as many projects out on this planet and do it. And Bob is so wonderful and always supports and hears about the humanitarian projects. That is our mission, to get as many projects out there and to make sure that we never fall into this again. So send an email to integrated, INTEGRATED minds at hushmail.com and say, I want investment template. It's not going to be grammatically. I want investment template. And we will get that out to you so that you can be the everyday person that had a missional presence by doing and taking care of your Zim through your projects. So that's number one. Number two, we're going to be ramping up based on, I'm a little geeky, so I keep notes. I have literally about 20 notebooks of the meetings that I have with people. And reviewing my notes for Designing Your Best Future, which is a 4-session package, something really powerful has been emerging, Bruce, and that's number one. Most people have had no experience developing a startup, anything, number one. Number two, when they go through these 4-session Designing Your Best Future, which shows you how to basically set up the first key components of your leadership journey, what they're really appreciating, Bruce, is being able to slow down and get clear about making wise decisions. And that's where we get into the metacognitive part. Because number one, we've done a lot of the work for you. So we've gone out and we've figured out what you need for various aspects of your team. We've thought about and had experience designing the first steps of your leadership journey and the things you're going to want to think about. We help you to prioritize and listen to you. What's important to you? It's not talking at you. It's exactly what you're going to be doing and modeling and designing when you have a design team around you. Number one, what do you want to get out of this? And it was developed after meeting with people and finding out, oh God, I want help with this, I want to help with that. So here's what I want to offer. I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge as many people as we can possibly do. Do you want to step up and give yourself the start and the support now, while you can, before all of a sudden it's here? It's always good to learn your skill in a quiet, slowed down environment where you can slow down, you can think clearly, you can do it and preload what you need to make a really good start. So this would be, watch, a solo person that has no support. I met one of these people today. A person that feels disconnected and is disenergized by this whole experience, but they want to start getting clear about what their next steps are going to be so they can kind of walk in, know how to do it, know how to speak, know the strategies and the skills so they can build it out that's right for them. I'm going to bring a testimonial from another person, Bruce, on Thursday, who ran a $1 billion project management company and is maybe signing up for a second session, a second series of sessions, because she got so much out of the leadership and how it made her think and reflect. And she's very wise because she knows that right now she has the time and the space. So for people that are solo and want that support, for husband and wife, I'm going to meet with a husband and wife maybe in a couple of days. Oh, no, I'm definitely meeting with maybe 2 husbands and wives who want to walk through this, or the cost is $5.99. If you got a group, I think we could handle up to 4 people, and you want to get some people to be re-energized, you want to be clear, you kind of want to be able to be proactive. It's called self-directed leadership, and you want to be kind of thinking about the things you're going to need to be thinking about and be able to walk in and lead and collaborate well with executive presence. Then you're going to want to take the Designing Your Best Future, because now is the time when you want to see your identity, you want to build your skills, you want to be able to prompt yourself to think like this new humanitarian leader. And this is going to get you in that space where you're developing with a person that's worked with CEO entrepreneurs and all that stuff. And you're going to get that clarity, you're going to get that traction, you're going to get that identity, and you're going to leave the experience with, oh my gosh, this was literally 100% of the people said it was one of their best investments ever, because it gave them, instead of a big, amorphous, totally task-oriented, I don't know what I'm doing, it gave them the first beginning steps. And if you can master those first beginning steps, you're going to make the next steps easier and easier, and you're going to build your competency, your confidence, and your sense of, God, this is going to be amazing. So to do that, all you have to do is write to us at, again, Integrated Minds, INTEGRATED Minds at hushmail.com, and say, sign me up, design my best future. And again, remember, it can be 1 person, you could get 2 people, max should be 4. It'd be great to have 4 people sharing. It could be a family. And then you're gaining momentum. You're moving towards something. You're gaining some skills. You're developing your skills in what we call the valley part of this experience. But you're growing instead of stagnating. You're growing instead of stagnating. And literally 100%, Bruce, say, it just is mind-blowing how much more confident and prepared I feel. So I want to leave everybody with that. I want to thank everybody. We design these with a deep heart for you and your experience. and to model what it would be like to be working with people that are paying deep attention to your experience, what you want to feel, and how you want to be supported in being the best leader so you can be the best leader with your team. And that's my segment for tonight.
Well, thank you, Sue. Thanks a whole lot for that. That was really valuable when you bring, the testimonials, and I can picture what that's like, and people that are doing the leadership training, the Designing Your Best Life Now, that package.
Best future,
Best future, designing my best future now. Designing my best future. I'm just to remember that. Designing
that's right, yeah, that's what it is. That's it, you got it.
That's it, I got it. And that's really, that is a way to change what your future is by changing your present now. And that's a big step forward. And the template, also the investment template, which is the template to do a world-class presentation, that is also very valuable, and that's $165 for that, and that's why it's called investment template. It's really a presentation template, but there's an investment involved. And just like there's an investment in the leadership sessions, the 4-package set of leadership sessions at $5.99. So you've got some great options, and everybody should, if you don't have your project absolutely lined out, I mean literally lined out, written down as an outline form, which you can present in 5 to 8 minutes at the Redemption Center. That's the time that they expect us to use, between 5 and 8 minutes. They don't want people going over. They want to try to get this, they want to get us in and out of the Redemption Centers in 35 to 45 minutes total for everything that we've got to do. So we don't have a half an hour to present our ideas. So be sure to, get with Sue at that email, integratedminds@hushmail.com, so that you can, take advantage of all the work, the research that Sue has done over the years, and all the work she's done with Fortune 50 companies and entrepreneurs and so on. You need to take advantage of that skill set that she has. And that's how you do it. And I think that's great, Sue. A lot of cool stuff there that people are availing themselves of, and I appreciate that.
We have an amazing community, Bruce. Amazing people that are really dedicated to being the leaders and the flourishing leaders that they can be. And that's really what we want, deeply formed leaders.
Well, that's right. And the other thing is, a lot of people go, well, I didn't get into this to be a leader. I'm more of a person that's been an employee for a company and blah, blah, blah all my life, and I don't really see myself as a leader. Well, you want to see yourself as God sees you. Does God see leadership skills in you? Have those skills been planted inside you that are time to come to fruition now? Are you a late bloomer? Are you ready to blossom when this goes? A lot of us are in that situation. And you have to realize that, this, even if you're not a front-of-the-room person, and Sue and I have talked about that before, we're both front-of-the-room people. But I don't necessarily plan to be in the front of the room in the future. I kind of want to be behind the scenes.
Can I speak to that? One of the key components of what we do in Designing Your Best Future is we unravel the image and the narrative and this expectation that you're going to be this leader like the leaders you've seen, whatever. We design it, Bruce, so everybody has a different capacity and vision for their role, but they have no one to talk to about it. They've never been given permission to say, this is how I learn, this is how I want to roll, this is what matters to me, it's one of the first pieces we work on. Nobody
There you go.
has access to that kind of design. It's to design it so you can articulate, oh, I'm more, Sue, I'm more of the contemplative learner, I want to go slow, I want to do this, but you've got to be able to say that to your people and say it in a language that has a leader impact to them, so you set your boundaries and you're not overwhelmed, and it's designed so it's impacting the world and it's helping you to flourish, not be burdened.
Right,
so
exactly.
It's important.
That's a good point. That's a good point to bring that out, Sue. And what Sue is telling me at the same time, as she says this, is that based on who you are, you as the individual, not you, Sue, but the individual that comes to these leadership sessions with you, she can read you well enough after speaking to you for a little while to know who that person can become.
Right.
What are the leadership qualities or that you have, or how would you be effective? That's the bottom line. How would you be effective in working with your team that you're creating to do the project that you came up with? Because it's not you doing the work, it's you creating a team that can do the work. I think that's a really important point, Sue.
Yep.
I think it's really important. All right. Well, I love that. I thank you, Sue, for that. And I think a lot of people get it. And they get it now. If they didn't get it before, they've got it now. And they can move forward to learn and to move forward from where we are.
Yep.
You know. All right, Sue. Thank you so much. I appreciate everything there.
Thank you, Bruce.
Okay, you're welcome. And now, front of the room man in his own right.
Uh-huh.
Big
okay,
time. Boomer. Sue, that's not a positive thing to say. Okay.
It is. Bob,
yes.
isn't that a good thing? Isn't that
voice.
what you want?
It depends on the inflection in your voice. That's right, Bob.
I love okay, Boomer. I just think it's so positive and joyful. Are you kidding?
How about okay, Boomer Sooner? How about that?
Boomer
For
Sooner.
Oklahoma. Boomer Sooner. How about Oklahoma playing Baylor this weekend? How about that? Yeah, this Saturday. All right. Listen, thank you, Sue. That is great. And okay, Bob. I'll say, okay, Bob. Tell us what's going on, Bob. Bring us up to speed. What's the information that we can't live without tonight?
Sure, Bruce. And Sue, thanks a lot. I love the whole concept of designing your best future and your 4-part series for people. They can start by getting the world-class presentation done and then continue on, because as you were saying, a lot of people have never worked putting together a project before. Right. And so it's really important that they have someone to guide them through to say, all right, here's the key factors you have to consider, and here's some of the elements here. And so you have a plan going in to the Redemption Center, but you also have a plan going in on the next day when your money clears and it's in the bank. It's like, okay, so now it's time to have the first meeting of my advisory board, which you've already put together, beforehand. And, advisory boards can be people from different locations. They don't have to be in your town, although some of them, should be. But one of the easy skills people can learn to do is to learn how to, moderate a Zoom conference call. Send out, open up your own Zoom account and practice. Say, all right, I'm going to invite 2 people to be on a Zoom call with me, and here's how I do it. I have to create a link. send it to these two people in their email and watch for them to join the call and invite them in. And here we are. Now the three of us can talk, and as a matter of fact, we can see each other. And we can share documents, right? And maybe you learn to use a project management software like Slack that allows you to keep track of things. And, you know, maybe you read Dr. Hanson's book, Who Will Do What by When. And it's just step by step by step. Here we go. And, you know, I can't think of a better way than to have someone like Sue who's already taught many hundreds of people how to do this, and, you know, to have her be your guide and get started now, so when the time comes, it's time to go. We're ready to go.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you.
Yeah, and you know, I think that this is, you know, going to be, you know, like Pastor Scott said, this is going to be the greatest time, you know, in history. And this is going to be a time when, you know, when the real greatest time in history, 2,000 years ago, occurred. But now this is a time when, you know, 2 million people get to begin to plan and execute their projects for the greater good, you know, that is driven from the goodness in their heart. And it's just going to be an overwhelming positive thing for the world, I think, in very short order. A few short years, the world will be a totally different place.
No, definitely, Bob. Yeah.
So, Bruce, I have a testimonial that came in.
Okay.
Right at the beginning of the month, and it's from a man whose initials are EH, and he says, I've been using Boomer Boost and Gladiator Barley for about 90 days, and what a difference in my energy level. And it has lowered my joint pain level. Also, I've lost weight, and I no longer have the desire to snack between meals. About a month ago, I began using the collagen product, and what a difference in my skin texture. I love the Boomer products, and their customer service is amazing. And this was really great for me to read, especially the part where he says he's lost the desire to snack between meals.
Yeah, that's big.
And yeah, I think that, you know, as people get well nourished for the first time, quite often, you know, in their whole life, they are going to lose their cravings for certain types of food and cravings to graze because they're so well nourished. They're just not hungry at all. He's probably eating less food at his meals as well. And Bruce, there was 2 studies that I wanted to mention tonight, so I'll just mention them each briefly. There's a study that was put together, and it's been going on for 5 years, and it is a study about the use of vitamin D3 and omega-3 supplements in the form of fish oil, and how it affects people's risk of autoimmune disease.
Okay.
And so, you know, the quick answer to this is that they found that there's an association of a lower incidence of autoimmune disease with vitamin D. That's a 22% reduction. And the supplementation with the omega-3s showed an 18% reduction. And they think with the omega-3s that it's because it's reducing your inflammation. And this is one of two studies here related to inflammation. And the second study was about social isolation. And this is a study where finally somebody decided to actually measure the biomarkers of people who were socially isolated. And these were, on average, the people they studied were 76 years old. And these were people that were self-reporting that they felt isolated and lonely. And they hadn't gotten out of the house in the past month. They had stopped going to their religious services. They may have recently begun living alone. And the researchers decided to measure their C-reactive protein. And sure enough, their level of C-reactive protein was much higher in people that were socially isolated. And they were producing inflammatory cytokines from their cells from being isolated. And so they're saying that, being isolated is increasing inflammation, and it's increasing their risk for autoimmune diseases as well, and also it's increasing their risk for heart disease. And so this is a really good thing. They're saying that of the people over 65 in the United States, about 25% of them are socially isolated. And so it's really important, especially now after having had, a year and a half of restricted travel and lockdowns and all this, that people get out and about now. And even if the winter time is coming, it's time to go back to church. It's time to go back to doing the things you were doing before, visit with your family, and make sure that you don't have this issue of, having excessive inflammation from being socially isolated.
That's big, yeah.
And so the last thing I was going to say, Bruce, is this is a really great time here on the 9th of November for people to get some of the best sales we've ever done. To remember that we just introduced a brand new product that has both magnesium and zinc in it.
Yep.
It's a good time to take it, along with, other things that you want to do to stay healthy for the winter. Make sure your vitamin D levels are up, get some extra vitamin C, some lignans, and then also look at our on sale page and make sure that you're getting a really good night's sleep. Sometimes when the winter comes and the daylight savings time kicks in, people have more trouble sleeping. And so this is the time when we have that really great sale we mentioned on Thursday, Bruce, where we have products for sale that normally sell in the $40 range. The price are now in the mid-teens. Like $13 for Clarity Factor, $14 for Resveratrol, $17 for Goodnight Formula. And you know what, Bruce? Even if you only buy one of them, say, for $13, you're going to get
free shipping. Yep.
The rest of the month.
That's terrific.
And, yep. A lot of people also waiting. They like to buy Boomer Boost when it's on sale. And right now, it's in a combo with the collagen, and it's on a really great sale. If you buy the collagen and Boomer Boost together, you're going to save $32.
That's it. That's terrific. Yep.
That's a lot. Yeah. It's like
that's what I did.
Products for free. Yeah.
Yeah, I did that and really love it. And that's exactly the ticket right there. Yeah, I love that. I think those products, Bob, like resveratrol at about 14, was that right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's important. You know, that
Yep.
resveratrol from grapeseed extract and other sources, I mean, that is just a huge help. And, you know, everybody should put that in as a supplement. And Bob, is there a limit? Are we limited to one or two of those at that price?
No, you can get 4.
Up to 4? Wow.
Yep.
Because I think that's a terrific opportunity. Clarity Factor, resveratrol, and Good Night Formula. And I'm using all of those. It's really good. So that's a real winner. I like the new collagen. I love the new magnesium and zinc supplement because that's really important. The magnesium is something we hadn't talked that much about, but it's something that is essential, really. As essential as calcium in terms of bone density and other things as well. And zinc is, you know, we got to have our zinc. That's great. Well, Bob, let's let everybody
really good
know.
For helping with any infections in your respiratory system.
Okay.
That's
absolutely.
And this is the time of year when that starts to happen. You know, when people get sore throats and a cough and a runny nose, or they start to get fever and chills and shortness of breath, that's when you really want to make sure you've got enough zinc.
Exactly. And let's let everybody know, Bob, while we're talking about the sale page, let's let everybody know how to get to the website. All they've got to do is go to bigcalluniverse.com, and when they land on our homepage, they click on the banner that says Boomers, and that'll take them right into your website. And they'll be able to see all the products that are on sale, learn about the total health system, learn about the sale page, and all the free stuff that you've got at the bottom of the page, which is your YouTube channel and your NLP programming and so on and so forth. And I guess they can get to the testimonials if they want to read some of those too, right?
Yeah, and you can see for the testimonials are, you know, specific to that product. So if you're looking at the Good Night Formula on that page, all the testimonials are related to that.
There you go. Yep, that's excellent. And I'll tell you guys, I love the Good Night Formula. Take it every night, and it absolutely assures me of a good night's sleep, and usually at least 2, sometimes up to 4 different dream states. And I can remember my dreams. I remember my dream from 2 nights ago and thinking, man, that was wild. It was a good one. You know, so I'm a big fan of Good Night Formula. And Bob, let's see what else. Oh, the phone number. You guys should have this number in your phone, and write it down or put it in your phone if you can do it fast enough while I'm on the phone. But it's really important that you have a contact number. And Bob's staff is wonderful to work with. When I can't get Bob for some reason, I call the number and get Stephanie. And Stephanie's right there. Boom. She is right there. Stephanie on the spot, right there, ready to go. And has helped me sometimes when Bob's been tied up on a call or something else. And so the number to dial is 727-443-2500. 727-443-2500. And that's good, guess what? 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, Eastern Standard Time. Yep, we lost our daylight savings time for a while, but so I have to go Eastern Standard Time. Bob, I don't like the fact that we had sunset a couple of nights ago at 5:21 p.m. here.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? It's just the weirdest thing when you're just, you know, you're like, wait a minute, it was just mid-afternoon and already it's dark? You know, it's just funny. I don't like it. I got to go Tierra del Fuego. I got to go to the southern hemisphere at least, Bob, to get a little bit more daylight. Oh, God. Well, Bob, I tell you what, you've got some cool specials going on now. These are about as low as we're ever going to find. There's no real reason to wait until a Black Friday event or a 12 Days of Christmas event when you can get these products on a killer deal now. And so I just would encourage everybody to take a look at the website and take advantage of some of these deals. What else have you got for us tonight, Bob?
That's about it, Bruce. The time hack is 12 minutes after 10.
All right. Well, thank you, Bob. I appreciate it so much. I love the studies. I love the information about some of these products, and we know how important D3 is. We know how important fish oil is and omega-3, and they're just really important, guys, to supplement what our diet is. Unless now, I had fish today. I had salmon today, and it was really good. But you know what? I mean, I don't eat salmon every day. And that's where you got to get your omega-3 in there. Your D3 is absolutely essential. Your vitamin C, your B complex, you know, all of these things really will help you for this fall and winter as far as your immune system. And that's the name of the game. Keep your immune system, keeping everything at bay. And that's what I feel like we can do now, and have been doing for a while, for years. Let's talk a little bit about where we are. Now, it's always so strange when I come on the call Tuesday night, and it's been 5 days since we did a call last Thursday. And sometimes I have to refresh my memory a little bit on what we've talked about. And the beauty of tonight is that even though today was relatively quiet, we did get maybe more information Saturday and Sunday than we normally would get on a weekend. It's just the strangest thing. You cannot predict exactly what you're going to get, you know, and all of a sudden you get a motherload of information. Or it's dry for a day and a half or 2 days, and you have virtually nothing new. Today was a slow day, but the weekend was good. And where we stand now is, I think, in a very good position. First of all, Iraq did what they were supposed to do, and that was they had been trading their dinar on the screens and getting it to a level where they wanted it. They've got it trading internationally now as of Sunday night. They put a new rate up Sunday, and then they had it brought to at around 9 o'clock. That's when they needed to have it on the bank screens for trading with Southeast Asia. And that's about the time that the Southeastern Asian markets opened, which is their Monday morning at 9 or 9:30 in the morning. In that same time frame, that's when the rates needed to be together. Now remember, we've got a lot of countries now that have, and I don't know the latest tally, that have assets backing their currencies, their new currencies. So they're trading, and that's moving along nicely. Now, when it does get quiet, like today, it means that bankers are under NDAs, they're under gag orders or hush orders, and you've got a few sources here and there that you can glean a little bit of information from. So we know, even though there's nothing live right now on the CBI website, they're not going to put anything as far as an international rate on the CBI website until we're ready to go. They just have this agreement not to put that rate out, even though they are actively using it. They are actively using lower denominations of their new currency in their ATMs in Iraq. Okay? So it's like things are happening sort of behind the scenes. We can't really see it all unless you're privileged enough to be able to be looking at a bank screen. And fortunately, even we can sort of do that in a way, because some people that we talk to are looking at those screens and can relate what's going on to us. The next step really is these bonds that are paying out, the paymasters of the bond recipients have been paying out for a while now, and they've worked their way from the German bonds through the Yellow Dragon bonds and Red Dragon bonds, the Chinese bonds, and other types of bonds, but they still have not paid out on the Zimbabwe sheet bonds. And similar to us with our Zimbabwe currency, which is a bond, because it's like a bearer bond, they have sheet bonds that have not yet been paid out on yet. That's going to be the last ones to pay out. We had heard that they were supposed to pay out on the Zim sheet bonds, not us, but the Zim sheet bonds tomorrow. I don't know if that'll hold up. We'll see. If it does, maybe I'll hear about it. But the good news is that the bondholders can see the account balance in their accounts, but they still do not have access to the funds. They see the liquidity in their account, but they can't get to it. They can't spend it yet. Well, why is that? Well, are they waiting for them to be able to get access to funds at about the same time that we get access to our toll-free numbers to set our appointments for our exchanges? I think it could be that they are trying to create a true shotgun start, even though it might be staggered a little bit, so that even the bondholders, which are Tier 3, they're Tier 3, and we're Tier 4, that they may not get access until we ostensibly get access at our first appointments. And by the way, we should, if you've got currency, that's dinar, dong, rupiah, etc., Afghani, you will be able to get access to those funds on day one. There is no settling of funds when it comes to these currencies. It's considered a currency exchange, and if you had a million dinar, you would be able to gain access to the rate times 1 million that you will get on your dinar in USN dollars. Okay, on the day of your exchange appointment, that same day. In fact, you'll have a debit credit card tied to whatever account you want that you can use. Okay? Now, let's talk about 3 basic types of accounts that I'm going to try to set up. The first one is the so-called master account or motherlode account. This is the one that they're going to want to combine all of your currencies that they exchange, including the Zim bonds that you redeem, in one master account. It's not necessarily how I want it set up, but that's what their intent is at the Redemption Center. They just want to throw the whole thing into one master account. All right, fine. So we get a structured payout on that, but let's say we want to get access to some funds. My intention is to set a secondary account up that the interest that the master account earns will spill over into the secondary account at the same bank. So Wells for the exchange, Wells for the secondary account, okay, in my case, in my situation. All right, so I do that, and the secondary account earns interest, but it pays out that, the main account, let's talk about that. The master account or the mother lode account earns interest, and it pays out, let's say I have the choice, I choose quarterly. So it pays out every 3 months, every quarter of the year, and so I have something in that secondary account, my spillover account, that I can use to be a humanitarian with and do my projects and fund and just go nuts with that, okay? That's how I want to set up. Now I want to set up a third smaller account, which would be a bill-paying account for just household. You could call it a household account, kind of like you already have now. And that would cover your bills and all of that stuff, your bills and small expenses and this and that. You're not going to buy homes out of that account or boats or cars or jets or anything out of that account. Okay, that would be coming out of the mother lode or out of your secondary spillover account. But it gives you a small account that you could put a debit card on if you choose, and it wouldn't be the biggest deal in the world. It'd be just a nice small account like you have now. Now, for me personally, I don't really want a debit card tied to the mother lode account, obviously, or the secondary account, which would be the spillover account. I would prefer to use 1 or 2 credit cards and just have them automatically paid off every month 2 days before the due date. I'm just going to have that automatically set up where they debit my account on my credit card purchases to pay them off every month. That's what I'm going to try to set up. That's what I'd like to do. So I'm looking at 3, and that third account, that so-called household account, it doesn't necessarily have to be at the same bank. It could be at another bank. And you may want to diversify beyond 2 banks and go to 3 banks or 4 banks. It's not, we're just going to have to see. The biggest thing we're doing differently, guys, is our banks like Wells and Chase and Bank of America and Citi. Those are exchange portals. Those are bank account portals, because our accounts are going to be held by the Treasury in a QFS Treasury account. In other words, there's no more FDIC $100,000, $250,000 insurance on our accounts. Are you kidding? Accounts in the trillions or larger? Nobody could insure that. Even Lloyd's of London. There's no sense in it. The insurance that we would have on the safety of the account is the fact that it's backed by the United States Treasury that has the gold, that has the assets, that has what backs up the USN dollar, the USTN, the United States Treasury notes. They have to, under Basel IV and Basel V compliance, have physical assets to back up the depositor. And that's why everything's going to change. It's going to morph into these QFS Treasury accounts. Now, we'll gain access to that with our own account name and an account number, of course, and a password. And when we want to go take a look at our balance on our mother lode account, we'd enter account name, and we'd enter the password, and then it'll ask for a secondary password. Now, in the past, we thought we'd use a biometric finger or thumbprint reader to gain access. I'm not sure that they haven't done away with that for us, even for the mother lode account. So it might be as simple as account name and 2 passwords. If we have the debit credit card, we may have a card reader that we could use to waft the card in front of that will read the information. We'll see what they finally come up with. But our motherlode card that would gain us access is supposed to be a titanium card, meaning made out of titanium. And we're supposed to get our initial card that we can use to spend from on day 1 at our appointment. Now, will the titanium card be available on that same day? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But what we want to let them know is, let's say they decide they want to throw all of our money into one master account. That's fine. But we want to tell them how much do you need or do you want to have access to, meaning to spend, okay, to give away, to tithe with, whatever you need. How much do you need for the first 6 months? You let them know that amount. And then then what I'm going to do is take that, because remember, there's no interest yet. There's nothing in the spillover account. It's brand new. Well, I'm going to seed the spillover account with that amount that I would like to have in there for the first 6 months. That's where I can get access and spend from, okay, initially, like on day 1. Okay? That's the plan. That's what I'm going to do. You guys see if you want to do something similar, great. Remember, I'm going to use the proceeds essentially from the Zim to be the so-called God account, okay? And that means for all kinds of ministry and humanitarian projects and humanitarian purposes. And the God account will be the master account, the motherlode account. And I'm not going to have to worry about really even tapping into that, but the interest that it generates will fund the projects. And if for some reason I need a really large amount and I needed to go to the master account, fine. But really, the master account is going to be what the structured payout would be using to pay from. So, we'll see how all that comes together. This thing has morphed in more than a few times over the last 10 years. So you never know what might happen in the future as well. But we're ready to, let's see where we're going now with remember, guys, we talked about the adjudicated settlements, the CMKX, the fines, interest, and penalties, the farm claims, the ranch claims, all of that. The church groups were paid out. The CMKX adjudicated settlement was started to pay out yesterday, and they were paying it out, and then we had a bad apple or two stop it until they could take those bad apples out of the basket, and then continue on with the payouts on CMKX, and then they'd find another bad apple and have to pull that out. And I'm referring to people when I say bad apple. You guys know that. These are people that are not supposed to be recipients. Let's just say it that way. And so that continued on, and it should have continued through the night. I don't know if it finished. Fines, interest, and penalties were supposed to be paid out today. I don't know. I don't have the status of that yet. Of course, I'll hear more things after this call is over, but it'll be too late for tonight's call. So, where do we stand? We've heard about bondholders. We've heard about some of these other groups like CMKX and the rest of these groups are being paid now. Bondholder money has been extremely active in terms of getting these funds out to Tier 3 from Reno, from Miami, from Zurich, from Hong Kong. They've been very active. But as far as we're concerned, we are supposed to go on the heels of the bondholders, but not have to wait till all of them are paid out, because it may take a while to get all of them completely hydrated. So we had a timeline that talked about us being underway, meaning with exchanges, before or by Veterans Day. Guess what? Veterans Day is November 11th. That's Thursday. Today's Tuesday. So that means that we are in the heart of what should be getting notified by the Wells Fargo emails that'll go out, and by the 800 number that I will receive, two of them, one for Zim holders, one for everybody but Zim holders, that I will put out on our website, and also we will send it out to our email list that we have on bigcalluniverse.com. Now, that is as close as I can say as to the timing that we have been told. And this has been told to us by three separate banks, the lead bank, a not such a big bank, but still an important bank, and, well, another bank that's international. Let's just say it that way. And they're all saying the same thing, or did say the same thing Sunday, Saturday and Sunday. They said Tuesday and or Wednesday for notifications. Well, guess what? I don't think we're getting notified now. We didn't today. So it makes tomorrow look very, very key. Now, the idea of us getting this underway on or before Veterans Day was part of the plan. So let's see if the plan, this is always based on, if, got a lot of noise in the background. I don't know where it's coming from. Static in the background. The plan is to get this done and to get this started. Now, there is also a possibility that the EBS system, the emergency broadcast system, will be utilized for several purposes. And I've heard this date last week, that the date may be, I'm going to say may, because you know how this is, things do change. It may also be tomorrow, Wednesday. And I've been told as late as a half hour before this call that we should be in for a surprise. Didn't describe what it was, but should be in for a surprise tomorrow. So let's hope that we get 1, 2, or 3 types of surprises tomorrow. I'm not, like most guys, I'm not too big on surprises. I'd rather have an idea of what the heck's going on than be surprised by something. And we know what we're looking for. We know we're looking for notifications. We know we're looking for the toll-free numbers. And we're looking for this blessing to come in to finality. But all the information that we have right now is triangulated and pointing toward the time we're in right now. And we'll see. Remember, guys, all I can do is bring you what I hear. And that's what I do every Tuesday and Thursday night, is bring to you the best information that I can, that's coagulated to try to make sense out of where we are. All right? So Iraq is on board. Everything's good there. Tier 3s are being paid out. Bondholders are being paid out. Everything is moving forward. QFS is fully integrated. Quantum Financial System is fully integrated with the banks, tiers 1, 2, 3, 4 banks, financial institutions here and around the world. If they're slow to hook up, it's on them. Everybody is pretty much good to go. The countries that have currencies that are going to be exchanging in the first basket, 27 of them, are all solid and good to go. There's always a little last-minute parlay between the Treasury and other countries, I'm sure, but everything basically is lined up. And I hope that there's nothing else that we need to wait for. I don't believe there is. At least if there is, I haven't heard of it at this point. I have not heard of it. So with that said, I would like everybody to continue to believe for this outcome, to pray in this blessing individually, corporately, if you have a small group of believers. And that's what we're going to do as I pray the call out tonight. We're going to literally speak things that are not as though they were and bring in the finality of this blessing to us so that we can get going. But before we do, remember to get in touch with Sue for help on your project presentation with the investment template, which is $165. And if you're also interested, or if you're interested in the designing your best life leadership training sessions in a package of 4 for $599, contact Sue, and the email address to use is integratedminds@hushmail.com. Integrated, INTEGRATED, minds, MINDS, @hushmail.com. And do it because you never know whether the timing is right there as we hope or whether it will tarry. We just don't know. So get in touch. We're giving you the best information that we have, the best information that's out there. We do not agree. What I say does not agree with some things that are being posted. But you know what? We'll see. It's not about being right about any of this, but it's about being prepared for this event. And that's what we're all trying to do with the big call. And that's what Sue's trying to do and has done beautifully for many, many of our listeners who are doing project presentations and will be leaders in their own right. And Bob is doing everything he can as a humanitarian and has for years, for 10 years, well, more if you really go way back, with his, with Boomers, his nutritional company, nutraceutical company, and he's just helped people probably ever since he was a little kid. He's just that guy. And we're honored to have him on our call, I can tell you that much. We're honored to have him as part of the big call. And I appreciate the fact that we've got good, solid nutrition that we can go to supplement the diets that we have that is lacking in this country. All right, so let's do that, everybody. Let's pray the call in. And then we can take it from there and see what happens in the next day or so. Lord God, we just thank you so much that you've allowed us to be born for this special time, to be chosen for this opportunity, to move forward, to level the playing field for humanity, to be good stewards of the blessing that is to come, and give as unto the Lord, knowing that we cannot outgive you. It's not possible due to the law of sowing and reaping. But we know that which we sow, we shall also reap. Thank you for the law of the harvest. Thank you that we have the opportunity to sow into people's lives right now. Increase our seed, Lord God. Increase our seed. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, that you would give into our bosom, that we could give again and again and again. And that's what this incredible blessing will allow us to do. Thank you for bringing this blessing to us, Lord God, in your perfect timing. Thank you for bringing it to us and allowing us to move forward, to do everything in our spirit that we would like to do. And help us to do it as unto you, as unto the Lord. And thank you for the love that you gave us through the person of Jesus Christ, your Son. And it's in his name that we pray. Amen and amen. All right, everybody. Stay tuned. We don't know what Thursday night might bring. We may not have to have a call. This could be it. Let's hope so. All right, everybody have a great night, and we'll talk to you when we talk to you.